Humanity is under attack, and every institution in America seems compromised. But without women, real women, neither can continue.
This is not about a lack of love for transgender community.
So today we take a look at 3 practical ways in which the life bearers of humankind can take action.
Now you have the trans activists and the trans community that exhibits some very unhealthy kind of cult-like dynamics.
However, the first step in any recovery is to admit that we have a problem.
Excuse me, it's ma'am. It is ma'am.
And for those unaware of the issues, the chain of command goes something like this.
No, because I knew it would just all be over. I mean, it was just going to get way worse from there.
Men, the equal and opposite to women, have been and always will pose the greatest physical threat to women. Not just here, but everywhere.
Decision must not stand! This decision must not stand! Legal abortion on demand! Legal abortion on demand!
The government, instituted among men, and for their own gain have long since inverted the very concepts of rights and freedoms as far back as any of us can remember.
If they were truly pro-life, they would not support the Supreme Court's decision to allow open carry across this country.
And last but certainly not the least in the myriad points of attack on biological females, is the focus on the newly centralized social contract to include diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Nobody confronts you. That's the problem.
It may seem odd to some on the left, especially the left, liberal feminists, and others, that a solution to this is presented in this report by a man.
Day 12 of being a girl, and I just picked up some tampons.
However, in recognizing the very real differences among both men and women, the common thread, a truth that has been recognized since the beginning of time, begins to develop. And that is that one simply cannot survive without the other. This is both literal and figurative.
They're not pro-life, they're pro-hypocrisy, pro-birth.
Think of the absurdity of the title of the Netflix movie, The Woman King. A woman king was once referred to as a queen. If you're enjoying these videos, be sure to take a moment to like and share it with everyone you know. Subscribe to the James Anthony Report today. It's free and only takes a second. Now back to the report.
Come on, man.
Jobs included expected secretarial work, but also car mechanic, photographer, printer, aircraft plotter, armorer, laboratory technician, communications jobs such as switchboard operator or teletype machine, gunnery instructor, electricians, and drivers.
The huge strides the Western world has made with regard to the idea that women are equal never before suggested that we were not physically different.
He set a record in the gym by temporarily being a her instead of a him. A male powerlifter recently entered a women's event in Canada and smashed the bench press record held by a trans athlete.
Women give birth, men cannot and do not. It is also a feature inherent in males that we are more aggressive by nature. Thus, it would seem the answer to the first issue of physical risk would be self-defense. And this would include firearms.
This slick-thinking granny showed us how she grabbed her gun.
The Second Amendment is vital to addressing this difference and serves to protect the most vulnerable among us. It is imperative that women are exercising this fundamental right. This is the first equalizer.
Hi everyone, my name is Susan and I'm a 24-year-old nursing student. I just recently found out that I was pregnant.
In addressing the second issue of the government-sanctioned inversion of rights and freedom, one must acknowledge the axiom that it takes two to tango. Men should play an important part in the decision to keep or abort a baby.
We're not perfect as parents, but in that moment it felt like we were doing something right.
It is not strictly speaking a women's issue. A second important component of this that is often ignored is that the expansion and access to so-called healthcare facilities for women are usually placed in less than desirable neighborhoods. So while the wealthy can afford to do what they wish, poor women are to believe there's no other option than abortion.
Girls, women who feel like they're alone, feel like they don't have any options, feel like abortion is their only choice, or that they wouldn't be able to go through with adoption. I just want this to be for y'all. And I just want to give y'all something to think about.
With birth rates declining worldwide, it is important that women are at least considering the idea of giving birth and then placing the baby for adoption.
Later that day, they surprised their daughters with their new bundle of joy.
How can you make me cry?
The third great equalizer involves the shining example of the given nature of men to conquer and dominate. This is of course called aggression. When it comes to strength, density, and lung capacity, to name just a few examples, men take the lead. And as the culture rallies around the idea that men competing in women's sports is somehow good for us, example after example proves different. This is called a psyop.
I mean, standard bench in powerlifting competition for women, I literally don't understand why it's so bad. My son, he weighs 45 pounds. His max bench is like 33. I'm legit seeing some women in competition who are doing something like 50 pounds.
To sum up just 3 examples of the great equalizer for women, they are firearms, adoption, and spirit.
Adoption is an incredibly emotional, personal decision. It's definitely not the easy choice. It's definitely not the popular choice.
This is my father. I was born in foster care. I didn't have a mother or a father. They gave me away. My father wasn't fit to be my father. This is my dad here, Jacob Benny. He's been there since the beginning. He's done everything. He laid his life down for me, and I lay his life down for him.
Not original to this broadcast, it could be argued that, in the Christian creation story, each passing day saw things becoming more and more beautiful as it led up to the creation of man. But just remember that God's final creation, and perhaps the pinnacle of humanity, was the first woman.
But it would be nothing. Nothing.
This is James Anthony reporting.